Hello, welcome back. Thank you for joining me. What we're going to talk about today is a continuation of a subject that we've covered recently, and that is time. The whole very notion of time, salvation, eternity, and, well, what we can do right now in the present moment. Everything. Okay, that's the end of the video. Thank you for joining me. No, I'm joking about that. Though not entirely. The lesson here is that truth, who and what we are, where we are, and you know all of those answers. Deep down, I know you know. All of this is very, very simple. Yet it is this very simplicity that we're most apt to reject. And by reject, I mean really reject, categorically reject, deny, renounce, and run as far, far away as we possibly can, thinking we're going to hide from ourselves. Yet we discover repeatedly, to our great displeasure and suffering, that we cannot. Everywhere we go, we meet ourself. Capital S, please. Mm? So, here, while we appear to be something similar to this, we have the opportunity to return to these teachings, to spirituality, whatever your practice may look like. We have the opportunity to take a few minutes out of our busy day and do exactly what you're doing right now. And that is listen to the message of our inner teacher once again. Today may be the day where something really connects. It may be. No, we don't know that. So we show up. It might be the 500th time that you hear something in pretty much the exact same words that you actually really do get it. And it makes a major impact. Now, if you've had sensations like that, those experiences, you'll know exactly what that's like. It's a beautiful thing. It happens to all of us on the path when we don't know. So we continue to show up. I'll tell you what happens if you don't show up. Well, nothing. You continue to spin, right? So when we're talking about time here, the backdrop is the Holy Spirit, our inner teacher, has a use for it. Who and what we are is eternal. It does not change. Here in the world, everything changes. The communication device changes day to day, moment to moment, as cells are continually shed and regenerated. They die, they're regenerated. Our weight fluctuates. Our hair color becomes increasingly lighter, grayer, or whiter with time. Everything seems to change. God is changeless, perfectly changeless. There is no change in heaven. There is no change in reality. Heaven's not a specific place. It's not a mansion encircled by a moat. It's not a mansion surrounded by pearly gates, with a gatekeeper who accepts some and rejects others. There is no fenced enclosure around reality. That would imply that there's something inside and something outside, separate and opposed by this barrier. There is no barrier. There is no pearly gate. And St. Peter isn't passing judgment like a bouncer at a club. He's not going to tell you you're not on the list. We're all on the list. And there's no gatekeeper anyway. So the very idea of time, the very idea of change, which appears to waste us when we're really honest about it, right? This very idea is taught by those who cannot and refuse to see themselves as guiltless, guiltless. You are not a sinner. There is no such thing as sin. God has no ego to be offended. You're not a sinner. If you wear that like a cultural badge of honor, which many of us around the world are invited and encouraged to do, there is no sin. If you are hearing this for the first time, hear it again, please. There is no sin. God has no ego to be offended. So he's not going to punish you for a supposed transgression against him. If this resonates, fantastic. If it does not resonate, again, fantastic. No problem. All resistance that we experience on the path is the ego. So simply know that, right? We are free in the present moment to choose. If you're choosing not to choose or you're denying that you have that choice, you are still making the choice, the one choice. God or the ego, that's the choice. Love or fear, if you wish to characterize that differently. Life or death, truth or illusion, that is the choice. We all make this choice every moment of every day. Choosing not to choose is, of course, choosing the ego. It is. Saying, no, I have no choice. You do. You just exercised it. That's all. So we use this power of choice to decide for our inner teacher, decide for the Holy Spirit, for truth, for love, God, light. Call it whatever makes you most comfortable. That is the choice that we're invited to make. Surely we can make the opposite choice, and we have repeatedly, habitually, to the point where we're so, well, confused and afraid that we have salvation, we have truth right now, and we don't recognize it. Perhaps you may find this visual helpful, that of a veil, where we've placed a veil over our eyes and we cannot see truly. So, what is our spiritual practice but the removing of this veil as gradually as we need this removal to be? So, what we're invited to do is allow ourselves to be led by the Holy Spirit, to allow ourselves to be led as far along the path as we're willing to be led today, whatever that looks like for you. And then tomorrow, No surprise. We do the same thing, and the same thing, and the same thing, until such time as we form the habit of giving the Holy Spirit to our brother. Salvation is right now. You are guiltless, completely guiltless. You have never separated from God. That is impossible. Now, if you're new to this course, this communication device, this pixelated image on your screen is not just making that up. We're invited to accept what A Course in Miracles refers to as atonement for ourselves. Now, atonement is the correction of our inner teacher, the correction of the Holy Spirit, his correction of our perception. Central to this is our acknowledgement, our acceptance that the separation never occurred. You're not separate from God. You can't be. So, what this means is that this finite thing is not you. You know this to be true, or you would never have been the slightest bit interested in spirituality at all, much less this series of videos and this course. So, really, it's up to you in the present moment. Which teacher do you choose? The Holy Spirit or the ego? That's the choice. We're invited here in chapter 15, section 1, to consider how long is an instant? An instant. That's all the Holy Spirit needs. Give him 1 instant, and he will show you who you are. Give him 1 instant, just the slightest gap. Open yourself to your inner teacher, even for just a fraction of a second. That is enough. The Holy Spirit's use of time is completely different than the ego's. To the ego, it wastes. Yeah, we get old, we die, life sucks, and then you go straight to hell. And if you're lucky, you go someplace nice, like a Club Med with tropical drinks. Yeah, it sucks. That's the ego talking. Holy Spirit has a completely different use for time. In fact, there is no time. We think there is. So he invites us to return to the present moment and give it over to him. In this instant, he will rush in. Your inner teacher is part of our mind that knows who we are and sees right past the veil, sees right past the walls that we've built up, sees right past illusion to truth, and will teach you to do the same if only you allow it. Will you? That's the question. We repeat these questions over and over again because it's so, so important. So, how long is an instant? That's all it takes for our inner teacher to show you who, what, and where you are. Yet, you won't give this instant to him unless you also give it to your brother. Reality is shared. Your identity with a capital I, Liz, capital I, is shared. There is no separation of any kind. Your brother is you. We won't ever give the holy instant to our teacher, this 1 instant right now, to the Holy Spirit, unless we're willing to give the Holy Spirit to our brother. to extend love, to extend the miracle, to extend true forgiveness to our brother. We extend it. We give it to keep it in our mind. Here is where this course differs fundamentally from the world. It is not of this world. In fact, it's of your inner teacher who's not of this world. To give and to receive are one in truth. Giving and receiving are exactly the same. You always meet yourself, remember? When you extend love, you receive love. You learn by giving the Holy Spirit to your brother. He returns it, and it strengthens in your mind. Reality is shared. Giving and receiving are exactly the same. Do you want the peace of God? Give it. If you're concerned about how, that's where your inner teacher comes in. He will show you how. He will tell you how. He will show you, tell you, instruct and guide you on exactly what to do in any situation, if only you let him. Give the miracles to your brother. Forgive your brother, truly. Extend love to your brother. It'll come back to you. Love recognizes itself. Your brother will recognize himself in you and extend love in return. It will strengthen in your mind. Give in order to receive. Want the peace of God? Give the peace of God. Also, this course differs fundamentally from the teachings of the world in that teaching and learning are the same. Now, there's an adage in the world that is quite correct. No one ever learns as much as the teacher. No, that's very true. That is because teaching and learning are exactly the same thing. We're always interacting with our brother. Even if you consider yourself to be somewhat of a hermit or a total hermit, you're still interacting with your brother. There's one mind, after all. There's only one Son of God, so you're always interacting with your brother. This means you're always teaching and learning at the same time. To teach and to learn are one and the same. So, what are you teaching? What are you showing? Are you extending love? Are you sharing the Holy Spirit with your brother? Or are you sowing division, hatred, blame, guilt, and fear? That's what comes back to you. So extend love. The Holy Spirit would teach us these things. He's attempting to teach you this right now. And the question is, will we open ourselves to it? And I hope that for you, the answer may be a resounding yes. Eternity is right now. There is no past. There is no future. You know this. We all know this to be true, yet we don't live our lives accordingly. So let this conversation be an invitation to you to do just that, to return to the present moment right now. You want to know why meditation and mindfulness practices are a thing in world spirituality? It's for this exact reason. It is in the present moment that we make the decision to allow our inner teacher to run the show, all of it. Again, it is also in the present moment where we encounter fear and the resistance of the ego. Forgive it. Have you ever tried forgiving the ego? Do it. It's nothing. There is no separation of any kind. How can there even be an ego? There is no separate self written with a lowercase s. There's no individual self-sustaining survival unit. That is simply a mistake. We accept our inner teacher's correction of this perception. It is simply an error. You are not a sinner. deserving of punishment and death. Rather, you're the Son of God. The term Son of God does not simply refer to the historical Jesus. We're all the Son of God. You know this. Perhaps you thought this growing up or yesterday. I don't know. It's a very common experience when listening to the teachings of this course for something to really hit home and really resonate on a very, very deep, profound level where you might end up thinking, oh my God, yes, I've always known. Yeah, yes, of course you have. And to the extent that these ideas, well, cause you some resistance, understand that is the ego. And you have help, constant help, the constant help of your inner teacher who simply waits patiently for you to open to him. So, will you do that today? All right. So I thank you, as always, for tuning in here. Thank you to all of you who have recently subscribed also and joined us. If you have not, please do. This is the prompt in the corner of your screen. So go ahead and click that, hover over that. You'll be invited to join us. Several videos appear each week, and also questions are most welcome. We've had a couple of really excellent discussions recently based on your questions. So if there's something that's coming up for you on your spiritual journey that you would like to have me address here in a video, please let me know that, and I'm happy to do so. Okay, so thank you for tuning in, and I will talk to all of you very soon.